What's up, Airsofters? My name is Lane, and welcome back to the BB Warrior. In today's video, we're going to be doing another Q&A, and all of these questions were submitted by you guys, the fans, over on my channel's community tab. So make sure to check that out frequently to make sure that you know when we post a Q&A, to make sure that you get your own questions featured. I've picked my favorites out of today, and we've got some fun topics. We're going to be talking about beginner guns, we're going to be talking about Airsoft tryhards, SMGs. There's a lot of topics on the table today, again, submitted by you guys. But if this was your first time here, I would absolutely love it if you joined our channel by hitting that subscribe button down below. But while you're at it, hit the bell icon next to it so that you get updated when we post brand new videos every single Friday. Now, why don't we dive into the first question for today's Q&A. Our first question for today is going to be Gatling9, who asks what my thoughts are on the Airsoft community. A lot of other hobby communities, his example riding motorcycles, has a lot of friendly faces, but Airsoft, in his case, does not seem to be so. What are my thoughts? So, to answer this question, in other hobbies that I have done, it's been a mixed bag, because there are some hobbies, like I used to fly model airplanes with my grandfather. People in that community were really helpful. As someone who was a novice, who didn't know a lot about it, who doesn't really build stuff very often, they're very helpful. But there's been other communities that I've been in, and as I pursue this as a career, getting into camera work, videography, there can be some kind of snotty people, but there can be snotty people in any hobby. Now, in Airsoft, I think that they get a lot of attention, these negative people, because I'm going to be completely honest. In Airsoft, there are a lot of young people that play in this hobby, and that is not a bad thing in any stretch of the imagination, but you get a lot of people that are going through like teenage angst. And I say this kind of laughing because that was totally me before I started making videos here on YouTube. But the point that I'm getting at with this, they're just trying to be edgelords, they're trying to get attention, they're trying to look cool, whatever it may be. And I say this from personal experience, because again, that was me before I kind of grew up and started this channel. But I think the thing is, we give them too much attention. If you've been around in the hobby for a couple of years, you might remember the Rest in Peace Kid video, which blew up. That's what they're looking for. They want that attention, they want that notoriety, but if you don't give them that, like, what are they going to do? They're probably, they're not going to be going out looking for that, and they're eventually just going to give up. Now, I think that, again, an issue, we highlight too much negativity in this hobby when there are some fantastic people doing great things for Airsoft. And one of the ones that I personally notice in my area, and he's a personal friend of mine, is Random Guy Kev. He runs a YouTube channel, he does Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of thing, and he's a content creator just like myself. But what Kevin does that no one else around here really does is he's hosting his Airsofting with Friends series. It's a more, I actually haven't had a chance to go out yet because I'm a bad person, but it's a little bit more casually driven event, and really, he's doing great things for the Airsoft community here in the Northeast. And I feel like people like that aren't getting the attention that they need in this hobby. I feel like the attention, again, just gets drawn towards these negative things, and that negativity kind of draws people out of Airsoft. If you're trying to get into this hobby, and the first thing that you see is some kid getting lit up at like 90 rounds a second, and they're like crying on the ground, and everyone's laughing, you're probably not going to want to get into this hobby unless you want to like deliberately hurt people. So I think that while there are negative people in Airsoft, don't get me wrong, I've met my fair share of really bad people in this hobby. There are fantastic people in this hobby that do not get enough attention. Moving on to something a little bit more lighthearted, Walker799 wants to know what my favorite choice is for an SMG. Well, my favorite SMG does not exist in Airsoft, unfortunately. I would love a SIG MPX because to me they are the perfect hybrid between the MP5 aesthetic but with the controls of a standard AR. However, no one makes them at the moment. Hopefully now that SIG is making their own Airsoft guns, that'll come soon. They make a like a 177 cal BB gun version of it, so like hopefully they can convert it to Airsoft, even if it's gas blowback in the near future. I would love that. But for models that exist on the market now, I really like the ASG Scorpion Evo. While I was down at Amped Airsoft last week, I got a chance to hold it. I almost walked out of the store with it. Like, it was hard to put it down. That'll be in a future video, actually. But yeah, I really like the Scorpion Evo, especially like the carbine version. Like, it's, it kind of defeats the purpose of it being an SMG, but they're just so cool. Other than that, I really like the ARP9 as well from G&G. I'll have that in a future video as well. Actually, they're in the same video. And that King Arms PDW that they just came out with, that kind of looks like an MPX and takes actual MP5 magazines, has kind of been drawing my attention as well. And of course, you know, I am a huge, just like standard MP5 fan. I just think that they are this like great aesthetic, especially like the MP5 with the integrated suppressors that Navy SEALs used to kind of like modernize by attaching like a Knight's Armament rail on it. I think that those are like super cool because they're all kind of like choppy. But yeah, I don't really have like a definitive one except for the MPX, but they don't exist in Airsoft yet, unfortunately. Content Hippo wants to know what I think the best stock Airsoft brand is. Honestly, it's a Crytek or an Avalon. They are both fantastic Airsoft guns, and I've answered the Crytek versus Avalon debate numerous times here on the channel. I don't think that you can go wrong with either one of them. Whichever one you think is going to be prettier, I guess. Crytek has better hop-up out of the box. VFCs are easier to upgrade. They're easier to throw a like an HPA system in. However, that's not exactly where you're going. They both have their pros and cons, but like realistically, the best guns out of the box gonna be the Crytek, gonna be the Avalon. Pick whichever one you think will look nicer. That's not like this huge like drawn out question, but it gets addressed a lot here on the channel. And a lot of people ask it, but realistically, buy a Crytek, buy an Avalon. You're gonna get the best performance from a stock gun with one of those. Unless you want to go out and buy something really expensive like the Wolverine Airsoft MTW, that's HPA, that gun is fantastic out of the box. Unless it's below freezing, then the hop-up's not okay, but still it shoots like 175 feet consistently when it's freezing cold out. So for AEG, buy a Crytek or an Avalon. For HPA, buy the MTW. Top Shots 11 wants to know what my most fond memory is from my time playing Airsoft. I would have to say this was an experience I had like one of the first days that Hudson Valley Airsoft was open. I was a real young kid. I think I was a freshman in high school, honestly. And I drove like 4 hours with my friends to go down to this field. And like, this was my first CQB experience ever. I was terrified. And I heard a bunch of guys over there. So I like sprinted around and pulled out my pistol and banged 7 people. I got the bang rule taken away for the day, but I would have to say that that's like my fondest memory of Airsoft. And the best part is, it was on camera because I had my buddy's contour. So like realistically, like that's probably my favorite experience in Airsoft because I felt so good at Airsoft in that moment. And then I got shot like 10 times in the back. I was like, ah! But yeah, that was probably my favorite experience in Airsoft. Other than that, I mean, being out with my friends is pretty cool, but like if I had to pick like one distinctive memory that I love from Airsoft, it would absolutely be that. Robert wants to know if my Discord would ever be made public for everyone to join. Well, here's the thing, Robert. It is public to join. If you want to join the BB Warrior Discord to talk about guns, gear, get announcements for things going on the channel, things like that, click the link in the description below to check out the Discord for the BB Warrior. Pablo wants to know modern AKs or classic AKs. It depends. I really like the look of classic AKs, like an AKM, something like that, but really you can't beat the customization that you can get with modern AKs. I think that some look pretty bad. The only modern AKs that I really enjoy, I would say, would be like the Zenetco ones. You know, I kitted out AK-105s. I'm working on a AK-74U at the moment with Zenetco parts on there. I like when a build pulls a little bit of wood, a little bit of the modern, kind of like mix matching together. I think that those look really slick. And I think that like bare bone, like a 74M looks really good as well with the just like the black furniture on there as well. But I would say that I kind of lean more on the classical side. I think that a lot of like the westernized AKs, they're just not my thing. I think that key mod on AKs looks horrible. But, that's just my opinion. That's the great thing about Airsoft, that there's so many parts out there. If you disagree with me, well, it's not the end of the world. Build your own rifle. ARG36 wants to know what the best beginner's gun under $200 is. I would pick 3 Airsoft guns. The first one that I would say would be check out Lancer Tactical. I know a lot of people are probably like, Wayne, why are you saying that? But Lancer Tactical has realistically gotten way better over the last 2 years. You're going to be seeing them on the channel very soon. But I think that their Airsoft guns aren't that bad, honestly. And again, they're getting better over time. The second recommendation that I would make would be a Classic Army. I believe this is the Skirmish line here. This is a gun that Fox Airsoft sent me out to review. If you want to see that, I'll have a card in the upper right-hand corner. You know, it's your run-of-the-mill Keymod M4. They offer this in M-Lock as well, but I really like this airsoft gun. A lot of the money, I believe, in my personal opinion, and I go more into this in the review, I think that they put all the money in the gearbox rather than making like really nice externals. Don't get me wrong, the externals aren't bad, but it's all polymer. So I think that all that money went to making a good gearbox for this gun. And finally, the last gun that I'd recommend for under $200, because you're not set on an M4, buy a Cyma AK. Like, they are rock solid airsoft guns for being like under $150 for the most basic models. Get one with a metal body, admittedly, but you know, their gearboxes are fantastic. Sometimes they shoot a little hot, so you may need to downgrade the spring, or just make sure that you buy a model that's going to be within the FPS limits of your field. They're typically not going to be great for outdoor, but Cyma AKs are fantastic, and you know, they kind of keep on chugging. Realistically, they're one of the best AKs in the AK market in airsoft, but at the same time, they're also like one of the most affordable. GSofter556 wants to know if I believe that the sniper or marksman role has a purpose in airsoft. Kinda. It depends what you mean. I think that sniper rifles, like bolt-action sniper rifles, can have a place, but talking about DMRs, realistically, DMRs do not have a purpose in airsoft, because I feel that a properly tuned light machine gun can do the same job in fully automatic. Now, you might be saying, well, BB Warrior, what do you mean by that? Well, the thing about airsoft is that, you know, airsoft, for the most part, everyone's using roughly the same ammo. It's not like the difference between, you know, calibers of a real rifle. We're all essentially using the same exact system in a different body. So what do I mean by saying that LMGs can be better than a DMR? If you have a light machine gun platform with a magnified optic on it, like let's say you're going to go out and build like an M27 IAR, like the Marines are using at the moment, and you throw .36s in there and you have an upgraded barrel, an upgraded hop-up, let's say you're using HPA, you have full auto capabilities, but you can realistically reach just as far as most DMR builds out there. You may be like 20 feet short of them. Oh well, just aim a little bit higher and let your BBs just sail to them. That is why I think that like dedicated DMR platforms, like the SR25, things like that, I don't think that they're super viable. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think that there's anything wrong with throwing a low-power variable optic on a standard rifle. That's what I'm going to be doing with my personal M4 over the summers, throwing on a magnified optic. But at the same time, I think that LMGs really have an advantage because they have like 3,000 rounds in their mag, and you can reach pretty much just as far, especially if you throw on like a magnified optic. And in all honesty, you only need about 3 or 4 times magnification for our ranges as airsofters, so it's not going to look super out of place if you have an ACOG or like a flip to side mount. So I think that sniper rifles can have their place because they can get farther than your standard DMR. But, you know, like a DMR can really be outshot by an LMG. Now, LMGs have their own disadvantages because they are so heavier, they're bulkier, but if you're the type of person that can wield that thing, you can realistically have a gun that shoots laser beams 200, 250 feet out. And I think if you've ever watched like Airsoft Alphonse videos, that's like a perfect example of what I mean by this sort of thing, is that LMGs can essentially be sniper rifles in fully automatic with 3,000 rounds in their magazine. But that is going to do it for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for staying until the end. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Again, thank you to everyone who submitted questions for the Q&A. I really appreciate it. I love doing these sort of videos with you guys. But again, that's going to do it for today's video. If you enjoyed this and this was your first time here, I'd love it if you joined our community by hitting that subscribe button down below. And while you're at it, hit the bell icon next to it for updates. We post brand new videos every single Friday. And also, as well, I will want to announce that there is a coupon code for the BB Warrior over at ampedairsoft.com. They're a sponsor of the channel. They are a huge contributor to what I do here on YouTube. And you're going to be seeing some videos from them very soon. So make sure to use coupon code BBWarrior10 for 10% off of your order at ampedairsoft.com. Some exclusions apply, map, that sort of thing, stuff that's already on discount. But it really helps me out as a content creator, and it gets you guys a discount as well. This has been Lane from the BB Warrior doing another Q&A video, and I will see you all next time.